Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and today I want to do a BG commentary where I want to talk about Blizzard acquiring MLG. So I'll have the link below on MMO Champion, but recently Activision Blizzard acquires MLG assets. It says Major League Gaming, once the largest esport company in North America, is going out of business. In a special meeting on December 21st, MLG Board of Directors approved an asset purchase agreement granting Activision Blizzard a large majority of MLG's assets in exchange for $46 million. Basically, Blizzard Activision, which you want to kind of tie those companies together, bought MLG. And the first thought as a World of Warcraft player is, is there a possibility that World of Warcraft might actually become an MLG or an esport? Well, I mean, it's first of all, it's really difficult to say the words MLG without thinking about Mountain Dew and Doritos. So we'll go with the words esport, which is probably going to be repetitive, but it's a way better alternative than saying MLG, and all I can think about is some dank memes. So, possibility for WoW to become an esport. With this purchase, is it possible to finally get World of Warcraft out there amongst League of Legends, Dota, Hearthstone, CSGO, basically everything that goes into a competitive game, to become an actual esport of sorts? To answer the question if WoW can be an esport, you got to take a look at Heroes of the Storm, you got to take a look at Hearthstone, and might as well take a look at Overwatch. First one is Hearthstone. Hearthstone is free to play. So already you have the open door for anybody else to walk in, no commitments, no nothing. People can just check out the game. But once people check out the game, they realize, hey, I can actually do this. This is fairly simple and easy to pick up. This is kind of easy to play. I can definitely get behind this. So a lot of people try to play the cards, to play some games. They even have guides on YouTube at this point, so you can just go learn how to play different decks. You can play with your friends. You can open up packs, and it gets very addictive. But because of the ease of play and being able to be free to play, fairly simple game like that, fairly casual game, became an esport fairly quickly. It has a huge following on Twitch. It basically overtook parts of YouTube here and there. There's so many Hearthstone videos out there. There's Hearthstone celebrities from Kirparian to Trump, Forsen, Reynad. I don't watch Hearthstone, so that's the only ones I have on my mind, but pretty sure you guys have a few to name yourselves. Hearthstone, it was an easy game, fairly simple to pick up, easy to play, challenging at the same time, and has grown to an esport. People organizing either local or Blizzard-based tournaments. Second game, Heroes of the Storm, free to play. It's like League of Legends, which a lot of people love, but easier. So a game like that would have an esport following, and it does. You actually have like teams like Cloud9, and that's the only one I know in the US. But then there's EU teams, there's Korean teams that met in BlizzCon that literally play this game for hours and hours and hours on end together in a team just to participate in a tournament. Heroes of the Storm has had local and global tournaments, and it's fairly widely played on Twitch as well. A lot of people do play that game, and if League of Legends can be up there in the esport scene, then Heroes of the Storm can do exactly the same thing, because it's almost bad for me to say this, but it's almost basically the same game, and I mean that in the best way possible, not the worst way possible. Hell, I think even Overwatch would be a great example. Overwatch, first of all, it's easy to play. It does have a $40, I guess, lock in front of the open gates, so the gates aren't as open as that of Heroes or Hearthstone. But the game is basically Team Fortress 2, and again, I mean that in the best way possible. Team Fortress 2 was an easy game to pick up and a fun game to play, and it has a competitive side to it indefinitely. I feel like it's easy to start playing Team Fortress 2 and then get into competitive games against other people, because you can get different combinations of characters together, different combinations of classes or champions or heroes or whatever the hell you want to call them. Even Blizzard themselves are looking at Overwatch as a MOBA style game, a MOBA first-person shooter. And there's other MOBAs out there like League of Legends, Dota, and even Heroes of the Storm that are being successful in terms of tournaments. Then I don't see why an Overwatch MOBA first-person shooter, why that game can be successful in the esports scene either. So those are the games that I feel like are fairly successful for Blizzard, and those are the games that we gotta compare to World of Warcraft to see if WoW has the potential to be an esport. First things first, we want to take a look at the accessibility for the game. The game has a $15 a month subscription fee. That already kind of somewhat denies the accessibility, but only to a certain extent. That's just going to be a barrier for some people to get through. It is present, but I won't say it is the biggest thing that's going to be harming the game in terms of its capability for esports scene. But the lack of accessibility because of the $15 a month is going to be there. That's just something for you guys to remember, just as a hurdle. It is a hurdle. Most people will be able to get over, but some people won't. So it is going to be limiting a small amount of people out of the game. Second thing is, World of Warcraft PvP isn't the easiest thing to pick up. While a lot of us that play WoW, we make fun of, oh, this class, oh, that class, this class is flavor of the month, this class is 2 buttons easy, and even some classes may be literally 2 buttons easy. A lot of the classes that we play in the game are very complex. Let's take a look at the easiest class in the game. And then that's where everybody has a different opinion. Let's take a look at a Death Knight. And I mean that I don't mean that to make fun of Death Knights, but let's take a look at a Death Knight. For the most part, it is one of the easier to play classes. Frost Death Knight. Let's just specify it. A Frost Death Knight is for the most part a fairly easy class to play. It has great healing, it has great damage, and its resource system isn't all that terrible. But even if we were to take the most complex champion in League of Legends, they still have 4 base buttons that they start with. As a Death Knight, you can use different talents and glyphs to basically change your playstyle. You can add buttons or empower some of your other buttons, so they deal a different type of damage or have a different type of effect. There's so much more to the game. Besides being able to burst, you also need to be able to manage your resource system. Even though runes are fairly simple, you have 4 types of runes. You have Unholy, you have Frost, you have Blood, you have Death runes, and you got to use abilities that are matched to the runes. Then you got to build runic power. So you got to manage your runes, you got to manage your runic power, you got to manage your burst, you got to look out for procs, you got to watch to see if the healer's casting to interrupt him, you got to watch your grips to grip at the right moment, you got to slow down targets, you got to call for CC, you got to call for DPS together, you got to peel for your healers. I'm running out of breath. There's a lot of things we do in World of Warcraft in terms of basic PvP. In a game of League of Legends, you can just combo a stun onto a target and then nuke them down with a couple use of abilities, then slow the target so it's hard for them to run away, and just hope the League of Legends champion doesn't flash to safety. And then you just gank the guy. In World of Warcraft, there's a lot more than just it's like a chess game on 3 different levels. You're watching for CC, you're watching for damage, you're watching for position, for heals, for abilities, for cooldowns, for counter cooldowns. There's just so many things to do. So just because the game has a hurdle at the very beginning of $15 a month, the PvP has so many things you gotta learn in order to be average, or mediocre, or somewhat decent, or halfway decent even. I wouldn't say myself I'm the best WoW player at all. I would say with, I guess, my success within PvP that I've had over the past year, let's say, I would call myself halfway decent. That's at most as well. And that's me being just honest with you guys. There's just so many things that World of Warcraft has to begin with for a starter player to learn. If you're talking about PvE, I don't think PvE is all that competitive in terms of esports. PvE is fairly simple. That is the easier part of the game. It does get challenging as you get into the more challenging content, but you can do your LFRs or even your normal raids, and you should be just fine, even if all you do is press 3 to 4 to 5 buttons. If you just use your offensive abilities, move out of bad stuff, and DPS, if you want the easy job. But PvP in WoW is a different thing. It's a difficult thing to pick up. It's difficult. It's just difficult. I mean, I've been playing WoW for a while, so when did I start playing? I started playing like at the end of junior year in high school. So that's about 2, maybe even 3 years at this point now. And it took me this long to get somewhat decent. You should have seen me when I first started playing Feral. Holy crap, I was terrible. And if it took me 3 years or so, 2 or 3 years, just to get halfway decent, then holy crap, how is your average Joe, how's your random Joe gonna get into this game and try to compete at it, or try to be close to it in terms of esports scene? There's so many abilities and so many CCs that it's hard to follow what the game does and what you're doing and what you're supposed to be doing, what team comps out there. And I don't know. I think it's difficult for WoW to become an esport. Unless Legion does something where they take out CC and offensive spells and basically they water down classes, but then they give more of an impact to the abilities that you do get. Let's say your class gets slows, but they make it difficult for other classes to get out of slows and give slows a real importance. That, hey, you don't just burst speed out of a slow, right? Let's say, or a warrior, like, I don't know, like a warrior versus a mage duel. A mage can slow a warrior forever, but the warrior has a couple charges, so you kind of got to watch out when you're slow, when you're rooted, and then get out of there. But mage also has a stun and a polymorph, which they cycle. They can also freeze you, so there's a ring of frost, and they can block. And then, there's just that much complexity. Makes it a little bit more difficult to play, to get into the game for your average player. Now, that's, I guess, the only thing I can really say at this point. I don't know. What are your thoughts, though? Do you guys think World of Warcraft ever has capability to become an esport? Or do you think it's... Are you like me, who thinks it's probably just going to end up being like a cult classic? The people that play it do understand it. They do understand what's happening. And, yeah. Cult classic. That's the only way I can describe it. What are your thoughts? Leave me in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.